Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the best times to visit Calabria, according to me, a person that's been in and out of Calabria for the last several years. Now, a lot of people visit Calabria during the tourist season, which is in the month of August. Personally, I would stay far away. It's actually part of the reason why I'm here in Istanbul right now. I hate being in Calabria during the month of August. It's hot, it's uncomfortable, it's crowded, it's more expensive than normal. I would just avoid it. Now, there are a variety of different reasons why somebody might visit Calabria. Of course, this would depend on if your family's from there, you're visiting family, or maybe your family is originally from Calabria and you want to go, or maybe you just want to visit a part of Italy that isn't typically explored by foreign tourists. Now, there are two main seasons that I would avoid visiting Calabria during. Of course, the summertime, like I already said, and the winter. Now, one of the reasons why I hate the summer so much in Calabria is because it's really hot, okay? It can reach over 40 degrees Celsius. That's probably over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. It's very uncomfortable. And for some reason, Italians have this aversion to air conditioning. I don't know why. So it's very uncomfortable. It's not a pleasurable experience. You have to share the beaches with everybody. I would just avoid it at all costs. Now, the winter time is also uncomfortable, partially because of the weather, but more than anything because a lot of houses don't have adequate heating. This isn't true, of course, for all places, but in a lot of Airbnbs that you'll find or in a lot of old buildings, it's very difficult to get adequate heating, and so this makes for a very uncomfortable winter time. Now, I love the spring in Italy in general, but especially in Calabria. This is when you're going to have a lot of the trees and the flowers are in bloom. Everything's coming back to life. It's really beautiful, especially if we're talking about, let's say, spring might be end of March to early June or even mid-June. The beaches start to open, but you don't have to share them with all of the tourists that are down there. It's a lot cleaner. It's a lot nicer. And also, you still have access to a lot of the restaurants that are typically open only during the tourist season that might not be open, let's say, in the early springtime or even the winter or fall. It's also significantly cheaper to be there during the springtime, and so that's why I recommend it. Now, the fall is really wonderful for several reasons, but for many of the reasons that I already mentioned for the springtime, this is when you're going to have a lot less tourism. The tourism is going to drop off big time. Let's say the end of September, early October, and it's going to be that way, and it's going to be really nice until about the end of November, early December. It does start to get a little cold, and we're not talking really extreme temperatures, but when you don't have adequate heating, it feels cold, okay? Trust me on this. I know you're going to see that temperatures are like 60 degrees Fahrenheit, which doesn't seem that cold, but it feels really cold when you're in an old building with stone that doesn't have adequate insulation. You'll have the typical fall things, change of season, change of colors, of course, all of that good stuff. It's significantly cheaper as well, just like in the spring. And some of my personal favorite veggies are in season during this time. I really love the food that you have access to, especially if you live in an area where you have really fresh produce. This is the time to cook it up. Now, there are some cons visiting Calabria outside of the regular tourist season. The main one being that a lot of restaurants and tourist sites might be closed, okay? But in my experience, a lot of the places that close are extremely touristy. They rely so much on that, and they're not really good local spots. The really good local restaurants, they'll still be open, and so you'll have plenty of options. I should mention the weather. I will admit that during the month of May this year, it rained essentially the whole month, so typically May is a really nice time to visit. This year it was a bit different, definitely rainy, definitely wet, and a bit uncomfortable. I hope the information in this video was helpful. If it was, please help me out by liking and subscribing, or of course leave a comment if there's any video that you would like me to make in the future. Thank you so much. See you soon.